This morning on Lovo Plus.
A pleasant morning to you wherever you're watching us from. My name is Henry Williams, and I like to say welcome to This Morning on Lovo Plus. Yes, welcome back. It's still this morning on Lovo Plus, and as we promised you, the day marks the 29th of May, Democracy Day for us. We will be centering our discussions today on the Democracy Day, how far we have come, what is our democratic experience, what are Nigerians saying, what are analysts and stakeholders alike saying, especially as President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has made his speech and his mind on this day public. We have seen a lot of reactions. And today on the show, I have two guests with me, and to my left I have Nnamdi Abana. He is a political analyst. Great to have you on the show, Nnamdi.
Thank you very much.
And as usual, you might have come across him on This Morning a couple of times. Ambassador Roy Ekedeve, he's a security expert, you know. It's always a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Wow, what an opportunity for us to take a look at our democratic experience again, 29th of May. And as usual, ceremonial speech coming from the president. For some, not really triggering the passion and doesn't provoke the patriotism from Nigerians, and you know the excitement that such a speech, and doesn't really for them, it doesn't really give them the hope that you know such a speech should provoke from the #1 citizen of the country. Some, you know, just seeing it as just fulfilling all righteousness. But I leave that. That is, you know, their opinion. Let me start with you, Nnamdi. What's your take, really, how far we've come in our democracy based on what the president has said?
For me, we've not really made any remarkable progress as a democratic nation since we are 19 years today, as in from 1999 till date, and you know Nigerians are still grappling with lots of challenges: poor economy, insecurity. You know, things are yet to improve. They've been hoping that things will get better, but it seems to me that as we've had a successive administrations, you know, things kept on moving from bad to worse. And that is why Nigerians are in a despondent situation. You get to the streets, you interview people, everybody seems to be frustrated with the system. There is general inflation all over the country. There is insecurity. Just yesterday we heard about the seminary that was attacked by the herdsmen. The Reverend Father in the seminary was shot. Likewise, the other students that are there. There is an atmosphere, a climate of violence. Blood is littered everywhere, all around the country. We have the challenges of Boko Haram to grapple with. We have the herdsmen crisis. Then even the armed banditry, you know, armed robbery cases that we are experiencing in some parts of the Southwest is also a matter of concern.
Okay, let me get Roy's perspective. Ambassador, what do you think about what the president said yesterday? What do you think about our democratic experience? Have we come of age? Is there something for us so far, this administration? How would you score this administration in terms of what it has been able to do?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. You know, when I was called to be on set, I was like, What's a security man coming to talk about? We should have political analysts like this. We should have lawyers. We should have people coming to talk about democracy. But when I looked at it, I said, it is apt.
Thank
because we are actually combating.
Thank you.
So if we are combating, you will need a combatant view to why we are combating and where we are going in our combat. You know, so I was trying to liken it because people make statements nowadays and it doesn't go down well. So I like to use scenario to explain some things. You recall when somebody gets into the university, 100 level, jam bites. The party, the braggadoism, the whole thing, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, boom, student crisis. School is in recess. 1 year, graduate is still at home. People in private university have gone to 200 level. And you come back to school within 2 weeks, bam, lecturers are on strike. And you go home again another 2 years. Somebody in private university is preparing to present his project for graduation. You are just entering 200 level. And that is where we are. We truncate. In every progress we make is truncated. In every progress we make is truncated. You know why? One of the key angles I want to generalize it upon is we fail to stop politicking when we have won. We still go ahead to politicize our responsibilities, politicize our security, politicize our roles, our commitments. We forget that we have won. In democracy, politics, you call it bad politics, blue politics. After the election, after the winner,
it's time to work.
It's time to work. You don't have any business with your opponent. You don't have opponent. Your opponent becomes your citizen.
Yes, citizens.
It's even the opponent and the citizens that should be talking about you. Your own work is to even embrace them, make where they live. Even those that were against you while politicking, make sure they have health care in their villages. Make sure the schools run, they have water.
Because you're sending a message.
You know,
there.
so we are still doing politics after we have won. We are throwing blames. We are maligning people. We are shortchanging avarice forces. It's a shame that democracy interpretation, I don't want to say Africa, I want to say Nigeria. Let's put it at home. Politics continue after we win.
Okay. Nnamdi, many have accused this administration of being the most divisive along ethnic or religious lines. What do you think about that?
Okay. The Buhari-led administration has been accused of being divisive, ethnically and religious-wise. One thing you also have to look at is the appointments which he made when he became the president of Nigeria. It was very, very controversial. It was lopsided, and Nigerians cried out. In fact, the president didn't mince words in sending a message across to a certain part of the country that since you guys didn't vote for me, you shouldn't expect any juicy office from me. So he didn't even deny that.
The 97,
that has
the
been
97%, 3%.
Yes, that has already been established. That lopsided appointment. Then when it comes to party, as in the appointments he made politically, we've seen the same thing playing out. Then in the fight against corruption, we've seen the lopsidedness. The members of the APC are not being tried by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the ICPC. What we've seen is that those that are not member of the APC, when they join the APC, the anti-corruption agencies, you know, tend to have this disposition of, oh, your sins are forgiven, go and sin no more. So all we've been seeing on national TV is the persecution of the opposition, members of the PDP, those with dissenting opinion and views, you know, against the presidency. We've seen the Metro trial. We've seen what is happening to Dino Melaye and a few others. Then Orji Uzor wasn't a member of PDP, wasn't a member of APC. We saw how he moved to the APC, and today he's been told, oh, go, in fact, you didn't even commit any sin, you've been discharged, you've been acquitted. It doesn't make sense. If you're going to fight corruption, you have to be sincere in the fight, and you have to show that, you know, you are not partisan. That means whether you're PDP or APC or ADC, it is inconsequential. You are a Nigerian. If you are corrupt, you will be tried by the institutions that we have, and if you are found guilty, you are going to jail. You'll be sent to jail.
But we've seen the president being celebrated by the international community in Africa, at the African Union. He's been given the mandate to lead the anti-corruption fight on the continent. We've seen an award given by the Martin Luther King Foundation,
which was very controversial, which they even refuted at some point. If you followed the story, the Martin Luther Award you're talking about, they said they did not issue any award. We saw the picture online. We saw some delegates from there having a handshake with the president, a meeting, but immediately after that event, a communique was issued that such an award was not given to President Muhammadu Buhari, which was grand deception. So the media men, the presidential media men, started doing the PR job, the cleanup job.
We all saw when the president was coming on board. He's not a new face.
He came on the back of a lot of promise.
He is not a new face.
Yeah.
He is not new in the office too. Okay, so most of his coming back promises were based on the former experience in the office.
His track record.
Yes. Now, you see, some people have assessment issues. Okay? Now, when you look at a military president, the powers available to a military president, when you look at the environment of military rule, people like my good friend here, they don't have a say. All the political, this and that you read, you like be a PhD in political science, you don't have a say in a military rule. It is close the border means close the border. No need to explain why we are closing the border, we are not buying rice from your country. If we say, okay, arrest all the lawyers in the chamber, MBA, and lock them up, nobody comes, unless international community will be doing preaching and all of that. Now you are coming back to a civilian rule. I think it was poor assessment. You are coming back to a civilian rule. The people you caged, you jailed, you locked up. All the Nadeco, all the activists that were silenced, that were strangled, that were held bound, saw the powers of a military rule. They now started to engage in generating their own militia, like area boys, people that they could give arms to, people that they could use to intimidate opponents, because they have seen how military administration come over military administration. You hear of Babangida boys, you hear of Abacha boys. So it was a boys thing within the military hierarchy to topple another military government. So how do you expect such civilians that were coming to barrack to drink with you in the mess, coming for tombola, coming for wasa, coming for promotion parties, wedding? Now they have seen that toppling capability, even with people holding guns. Now they are coming into a civilian regime democracy was giving birth to. Bam. all the retired military people were also coming into the same play field. Now, they have grouses, they have grudges, they have experiences when they were in the military. Now you have a field full of people. Some have gun handling skills, some have training in military, some have thinking capabilities, some have scheming abilities. They are all coming together. That was what brought our democracy in the young age, where you have ballot box snatching, thugs will just come, beat everybody, and still release results. Later, that started to douse down. When it started to douse down, we now saw that there was now imperials, people that could make a statement and hold it. Everybody now know who were the godfathers. So you now have people like Oga Tinubu and some other people starting to generate another class. The class that don't want to use brutal force, but scheming abilities. Now, you begin to see news flashes of how your result when you were in primary school does not tally with your result when you were in university. You remember how your name is Evan is now Evans. Don't forget the history. So that was the change of baton from violence to scheming and hate speeches. It grew to a point where we began to forget that we armed youths. We told youths that we will be violent. After the phone call from the former president to the present president that I'm handing over, I made a speech, you could remember. I said, is this peace? Peace? Because we all assumed that, oh, everything is now okay. But somebody said, I will turn this town to red with blood. Somebody
because
said,
some people were
yes, some people were being trained in the forest, some were trained in the creeks, some were armed fully to the teeth, waiting for a whistle to be blown to start mayhem. All of a sudden, you said you have handed over. And the other party that was also ready to retaliate if you start anything also accepted. Then they want to do clean governance. It's not possible. That is for one. Two, remember that you are coming in to say you want to fight corruption. Corruption in Nigeria was not appropriately assessed as a threat pattern. Okay. We didn't check the vulnerability of everybody, how it has permeated every rank, both religion, Christian, Islam, both academic environment, the judiciary. We didn't notice the permeation of corruption in the judiciary. We didn't expect a whole honorable chief judge to take petty bribes and condemn people to death. We didn't. We didn't expect the judiciary to look the other way and allow policies, constitutional breaches to be taken for granted. We didn't expect it. So when somebody is coming to say, I want to come and fight corruption, he didn't assume the hydra-headed position that corruption has attained. So the failure was from the wrong assumption in the first place. Then the next thing was he didn't identify his enemies, not his enemies per se, enemies to his expectation. So people were planted in the government agencies, planted in the security agencies, planted in so many agencies. Now when you now say, Commissioner of Police reports to Kano, and he will not report to Kano, and you are a president. You will now say, EFCC, give me the report of, look, what you are even talking about, the award. Yeah. I'm even expecting our journalists to have dug deep and come up with a counter real-life statements from the real families that were supposed to have given that award. So there was bastardization of roles. People took everything for granted, and you are there shouting that you are fighting corruption. You forgot that corruption was in your house.
In the area of political awareness, Nigerians are politically they are politically aware.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, they have that full absolute.
Because the way we treat politics, a lot of people treat politics is as if it's, look,
not
it's their business.
No,
it's
no.
It's not,
that was dead, not
okay.
now. people are very they are politically conscious right now. That is why you have Nigerians debating over the budget, debating over national issues.
They debate, but
And
how many of them have gone to get their PVCs or go to queue at, because
people are getting their PVCs. I've never seen the intensity that we have now on the retrieval of PVCs. I've never seen that before. But right now it has gained the ascendancy. And again, I would like to say that number one law of leadership, it says that everything rises and falls on leadership. So the president cannot feign ignorance, on the things that are going on in the country, especially the challenges that are facing the nation. Mind you, he contested severally before he eventually won. So he saw the problems inherent in our country. But I think he wasn't prepared for leadership, because from the way things are going, he's not been able to tackle corruption. He has not been able to provide security. He has not been able to manage the economy effectively. And these are the three cardinal points, campaign points, that he used while he was, about to emerge as Nigeria's president. He has failed on three fronts.
He seems to differ on that, because based on his speech, let's look at the statements he made on the economy. One of the achievements of this administration.
See, anybody can write anything. Anybody can say anything.
The whistleblowing policy, he says, recovered over 500 billion.
Yeah.
We have the voluntary assets income declaration scheme, VADES, aimed at expanding tax education. And he also credits his administration for getting the nation out of recession. So what's your position on looking at the economy so far, what he has been able to achieve?
Like Peter would always say, when you go to the market to make your purchases, do you spend more or do you spend less? The goods and services you were purchasing with 50 naira, 100 naira last 3 years, do you still have the ability to make such purchases with that 50 naira? So we need to come down from that tower of reeling out figures, reeling out economic terminologies. What is happening? What is the purchasing power of the naira? There is general inflation. There is general inflation. People are suffering. Lots of people, they've been laid off from their work. Unemployment has risen astronomically. So what is he talking about? Our economy is fledgling. The security situation is terrible. Look, I'm even surprised that we've not even said anything about what is happening in Benue State. We saw I saw the picture. It was such a terrible sight. It looked like a farmland, but these are graveyards. Mounds of graves. We are talking about people dying in their thousands, not just Benue State. Those that are being killed and attacked by Boko Haram. So, on the issue of security, the president has failed woefully. On the economy, he has also failed. So let's not play the ostrich and pretend as if the man is working. He is not working.
Okay,
it's not working.
That's your position.
Yeah.
I'm concerned, and I must say that our time is fast spent, because this topic, it's not something we can really exhaust with the limited time that we have, but we'll try and do our best. Coming to you, Roy, he has highlighted the state of insecurity and the deaths that have taken place so far, with so many being killed, and especially in the Christian community. As we round off for this session, what are your final thoughts on this situation going forward?
Okay, well, it's the same thing with where he's coming from about politically aware. But I want to disagree, okay? I know we have agreed all the while. Okay, I want to disagree. I want to say quickly that Nigerians are not politically aware. Okay, I took a statistics when they said we have millions, this million of lines from network providers. All our network providers have these millions of lines. Nigerians are connected by telecommunication. I asked one of my friends, I said, those millions of lines that are active, how many of them are data friendly? How many of them are data active? Now, you go to people, Nigerians are not politically aware. You go to a place, you see a young guy with a phone, he's not checking the news. He's not checking what went and googling back to check what happened before, to correlate it and drive his action to change the government. He's not. You go to a place where you think these are people that are not educated. You will see 4 to 5 people staying near a radio. They are by the radio, they are listening to somebody telling them what to do the next day. And they will carry out by the letter. But you will see our own youths from whatever side you say you are from. You will now see them watching football. You will now see them not even interested. Send one fake broadcast. They will begin to share it and mislead themselves into the kind of rigmarole that the political class that want to manipulate them is pushing them into. And we say we are educated politically. I don't even know the strong arms of politics. I don't even know when we are practicing biased politics. I don't even know the political environment that we want to enter now. These young people that are coming to contest for presidency, for governors, they are still asking them money. People are still saying, how much does he want to give us? That's why I posted the other time, I said, what is the cost of a wrong mandate? It is another 4 years of darkness, of death. Then come back to security, which is your question right now. That's why I'm marrying it with political unawareness. It is also security blindness. You want to tell me about Benue State, sir. I want to tell you that David Mark is from Benue State. Is that true or false, sir? True. And he has been Senate president for how many years, sir? And all of those years, the thief and the other tribes have been fighting themselves, and they have been killing themselves and taking lives. The land of Benue State is clogged with blood of the citizens. And they have people in the DSS, they have people in the military, they have people in the Senate, in the legislature. Have you seen any of them pushed for a solution to the bloodletting? And if it is rejected, they resign? Have you seen any of that? Have you seen any of them saying they will not take up an appointment because what they want to propagate for their people, to safeguard lives and property, to bring sanity, would not be accepted? We have a list of people that have denied positions, declined positions, declined appointments. But let us look at our sensitivity. We, as a people, we control the government. We as a people. So we cannot claim that Buhari has failed or has excelled in presidency if we don't channel his failure or performance to the anchorage of his team of leadership.
Well, I really would have loved Nnamdi to respond to that, but that's apparently all we can take. But one thing I can glean from my guest here is that we are all culpable and we are responsible in terms of our awareness and the sacrifice that is required for us to achieve and arrive where we want and what to actually receive the kind of leadership we want. What sacrifices have we made or are we making to make sure this comes to be a reality? That is the question I'm posing to us this fateful day as we take a look at democratic dispensation and how far we have come. I want to thank my guest, Nnamdi Abana. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And as usual, my ever indefatigable Ambassador Roy. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.